Well, the Titans had a pretty abysmal loss in Week 10 of the NFL season. I think it's time to maybe start looking at some 2024 NFL free agent options this Titan team could go after. So that's what we're going to talk about on today's show. We appreciate you watching, as always, here on Titans Today. I'm your host, Jace Andrews, and before we get going, I need your help. You see, there's one way you can guarantee yourself to be on top of Titans news, on top of Titans rumors, and be in the know about everything going on in Tennessee. And that's by hitting subscribe, and on top of which, making sure you're a part of the Noti Gang. You see, if you hit that bell, you're going to get notified whenever we put out a video, and you'll be the first one to know about a signing, a rumor, a free agency ad, or a trade whenever that happens over this season. Obviously, trade deadline has passed, but once we get to the offseason, there's going to be a lot of money flowing, which is what we're going to be talking about today. There's a lot of cap space, so make sure you turn on that bell. You're going to get notified for every single video we post. So, the money available? Well, almost $100 million. That's how much the Titans will have in free agency in projected cap space this upcoming free agent season. Now, that number can increase by cutting or restricting, restructuring, cutting contracts, just a lot of things that could be moving pieces with Ran Carthon. The Titans do need a couple of positions. I think it's odd because you have some young guys. You maybe could need positions here and there, but you just don't know exactly yet. Now, these things could change over the next couple of weeks, but as of right now, the obvious and clear need is the O-line. That was clear and present this past Sunday against the Bucs, where they let Will Levis get ravaged in the pockets. Defensive back is also a pretty big need. Sean Murphy-Bunting being injured has not helped, but Azeez Al-Shaair has been okay at best. Kristian Fulton has not lived up to expectations. And then the third guy, definitely be an edge rusher just to see if you can round out this defensive line. Simmons is great, but if you can get an edge rusher, there could be a potential really good opportunity for this Titans defensive line. Okay, so let's first look at how that number could increase with some prime cut candidates. Now, given you have a lot of cap space already, there's not really too much you should cut. Looking at who is on contract next year, there's not a lot of people that you think, you're not doing too much, we're going to cut you. Now, the two guys that I looked at that I think, hey, you don't necessarily need them, is Hassan Haskins, and he would free up $1.1 million. So there you go, you're right at $100 million right there. Or Dylan Redun, who honestly has played terrible. I'm going to be quite honest. He's been a really big problem on this offensive line. $2 million right saved right there. Potentially some money you could add to a contract for a couple of your free agents that you're looking for. There's a lot of guys you're going to have to sign, which we'll get to that in a minute. But you do have lots of wiggle room, obviously. You have the $100 million in cap space. You can cut. You can restructure. Who knows what's going to happen with Ryan Tannehill? You could trade him. Obviously, he's technically a free agent this upcoming season. A lot of things you can kind of do with here. First of all, I think we need to look at the Titans free agents and how much money they're going to need to use on re-signing guys. The first one, pretty obvious. You're going to need to sign Derrick Henry back. Denico Autry is probably a guy you want to keep. Azeez Al-Shaair, same with there. Teair Tart, maybe. It depends on what you want to do with your draft strategy, who you're going to sign. That's going to be up to Ran Carthon and kind of what he decides. Brewer, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Kristian Fulton. That's going to be the interesting one. He hasn't lived up to expectations, but he does show promise a lot. Chris Moore, Chris Hubbard, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. You look through these 10 guys, and it's very obvious the number one priority is to keep King Henry. He's a Tennessee guy. He's been here his entire career. There's no reason to let him walk, especially if you were going to. You should have traded him because in that case, you're going to get something in return. If you let Derrick Henry walk now, that's going to cause some really big questions from a lot of Tennessee fans just because why in the world did you not just trade him and get something in advance? So he's the obvious priority there. You need to make sure you sign him. Now, besides Derrick Henry, I want you to name a player that you think the Titans should sign in this offseason. Who should they re-sign? Is it maybe Azeez Al-Shaair? Is it Sean Murphy-Bunting? Is there someone you think we cannot lose him? We need to have him back here with the Tennessee Titans. He cannot leave us. So we're going to have to kind of figure that out. But I think if you're looking at my opinion, it's definitely going to be Azeez Al-Shaair. He is one of those guys that has overall been a formidable guy in the secondary. He's one that you need to kind of keep around. Azeez has also been a young guy. I mean, he's getting time to kind of learn and understand this defense. Honestly, if you look at the defensive back room, I know we talked about how that's kind of been an issue. He's been the best one in terms of, honestly, covering the routes. He's been a guy along with Mike Evans, covered him pretty well this past Sunday. I know there was a couple of big catches, but Sean Murphy-Bunting coming back could also be a help, which you may need to sign him as well. I think that's all going to depend on what the strategy is for Ran Carthon in the draft, his strategy is in free agency, and ultimately his strategy as a whole with this Titans organization, and whether or not this team is going to be able to continue to be able to hopefully keep going with these signing issues and maybe sign away some teams here, sign away some players in the upcoming 2024 free agency. All right, before we move on and tell you about who I think the Titans should sign, well, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Game Time. Game Time is your one-stop shop for sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. You shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to your next big event, and Game Time will give you the peace of mind when buying tickets with their best price guarantee. Now, I use Game Time pretty much every week at this point. I'm a guy who doesn't like to sit at home. I want to go out, and honestly, I don't like to plan either. I'm pretty young. I don't do well with the whole planning thing. Game Time makes it super easy because all I do, I go in, a couple clicks, and I'm going to a baseball game. I know MLB is over now. Going to my college football games on Saturdays. Super, super easy. Actually went to a game this past Sunday in San Antonio. Took me like $10. It was the cheapest thing ever, and that was only with Game Time. Plus, for Titans Today viewers, Omar, we have a special discount code. You can get $20 off your first purchase if you download the Game Time app, and then redeem code TitansChat. You're going to get $20 off. So make sure you download the Game Time app, create an account, and then use that code for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code TITANSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. So I think we got to start with this offensive line because it has not been great. Chris Hubbard, not the greatest here as he is your top offensive line in the PFF ranks, 71.3. No, that can't be your top guy at all. That just can't. Dylan Redunn, he's been okay. A lot of money there that I honestly don't think is there. Aaron Brewer's been all right. Peter Skoronski, I know he's a rookie, but just not letting up. Then Andre Dillard, what the heck happened? You sign him in free agency and you get this out of him? It just has not been great here on the defensive line, and it's showed. So who are some guys these Titans could target? Well, let's look at the biggest one of them all. Jason Kelce, free agent this season with the Philadelphia Eagles. And, his PFF grade is a lot better than other Titans players, you think. So he would be a very good one to have. On top of which, you could also go with Tyron Smith, who left tackle has a similar PFF grade. Honestly, is a guy who fits really well with this Tennessee team. I think there could be a way to potentially bring one of these two guys in, but these are the top two options. These are the guys that you're going to have to open the bank account with, and, Ran Carthon's going to have to pop out the checkbook, but at the same time, you have the money. You have over $100 million in cap space, probably at this point. So, why not open the money book? You have a rookie quarterback who you like, protect him. What are some other guys maybe a little cheaper, but still fit the protocol here? Kevin Zeitler, guard. PFF grade hasn't been great with the Ravens this year, but overall he has the precipice of being a pretty good pass blocker. The run block, neither here nor there. When you have Derrick Henry, it shouldn't be that big a deal, especially when you have that type of PFF grade. Trent Brown is also a guy I look at because I think he is one of those guys who he's not going to shine, not going to be great at pass blocking, not going to be great at run blocking, but he's just very solid on both ends, and his PFF grade this year has been very, very great. He could be a good fit. And then Jonah Williams is the last one, who is kind of like Kevin, where he has not had necessarily an amazing year, but at the same time, he has been a prototypical guy in this league that could easily come in and basically say, hey, I can move the line of scrimmage when I need to. Now, Titans are fourth in sacks allowed with 33. I would say that'd be terrible, but at the same time, the Giants have 43, so it could be worse. But at the same time, this offensive line is by far one of the worst in the NFL, sitting right there with the New York Giants. It's not great, and thus O-line needs to improve this upcoming offseason. Make sure you subscribe here on Titans Today. We're putting out Titans news, rumors, and more content every single week. We got previews of the game. We got live watch parties, which we're going to have this Sunday. So hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it if you join us today here on Titans Today. We appreciate you, as always, if you do subscribe. And let's go into our free agent targets for the defensive back. So James Bradberry, another guy, big name coming out of the Eagles. He could be a potential fit with the cornerback role, but I said defensive back, so that doesn't include just cornerbacks. It also includes safeties. Jessie Bates is a big name that I like. I think he could very well fit with this Titans organization. Listen, I'm going to be quite honest with you. The Falcons organization is poorly run. Arthur Smith is a horrible head coach, and Mike Vrabel is not. And he's a defensive-minded head coach on top of it. Jessie Bates could come to Tennessee and play amazing football. Byron Murphy, another similar guy to Bates, a younger guy who's having a really good year, and I think he also fit in well. It kind of just depends. You keep Sean Murphy-Bunting around or you keep McCreary around. Who exactly in that defensive secondary do you think maybe the Titans should keep instead of let go? The last guy, a little older one, but I think could provide some veteran presence. That's Jordan Poyer. Now, the Bills defense has had its ups and downs, but Poyer has, well, done the same thing, has its ups and downs. With that being said, he has been a guy who has experience in this league, and maybe that's what this defense needs, because honestly, there's a lot of people who thought this defense had a lot of talent. Problem is, it just hasn't shown out. Now, this does depend on draft structure. I think I've talked a lot about this on how Ran Carthon is going to decide on if he's going to sign a positional group with free agents, if he's going to go and draft that positional group. So I think this is up for debate. Should the Titans draft a defensive back, or should they just maybe find one of those guys in free agency? We saw Peter Skoronski trying to fix the offensive line depth, and that hadn't really worked. I mean, offensive line is 5 guys, so can't exactly expect one to fit there. But how should the Titans upgrade a defensive back? Should they draft somebody, or should they add somebody from free agency? If they draft somebody, then I want you to type D in the comments. If you think they should get somebody in free agency, then type F. Okay, edge is the last position here that I want to look at, because I think this is the position that it's not necessarily needed, but this could take the defense to the next level. Danielle Hunter has had an absolutely amazing season. He has been, honestly, maybe one of the most impressive edge rushers in the entire NFL this year. Brian Burns, similar guy who maybe not as big a presence as Danielle Hunter, but overall has had a great season, 5 sacks. Then Josh Allen in Jacksonville, 9 sacks this year. He's been a one-lone type presence over there in Jacksonville for the longest time. Guy who the defense has relied on turnovers. Josh Allen has relied on getting sacks to continue his presence on the defensive line. Chase Young is also a free agent. We'll see if that remains, as he's signed with the 49ers right now after the trade. See if that extension gets done or if he is a free agent, but I think he could be a good option. We'll have to see if he's available. And then Josh Uche can come in here from New England. 2 sacks this year. Been a guy who has honestly filled in well with a couple of absences on that Patriots defense, and honestly a defense that has been really, really good, but overall has struggled this year with injuries. Now, the reason I think that the edge could be a potential addition here in free agency is the line has been middle of the pack in sacks. Now, what do I exactly mean by middle of the pack? Well, middle of the pack. They were 18th right now in the NFL in sacks allowed, or sacks on defense. So, you get an edge rusher? You have Simmons? I'd be hard-pressed to say that this Titans line doesn't become elite. You are able to have Jeffrey Simmons, and you add an edge rusher like Danielle Hunter, like potentially Brian Burns. This line becomes top level, like honestly, we haven't seen in a while here in Tennessee. That's the hope, and we will see what Ran Carthon does. But for now, that's all we got. We appreciate you watching, as always. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. We really appreciate it. It supports this channel, it supports us, and it makes it to where we are able to put out more Titans videos. We appreciate you, as always, and tighten up.